are live.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Here we are. I'm B Minor.
I'm the X Factor.
And we are here today with Avi Meyerson, my friend, legendary. I don't know if we can call legend yet. Maybe
close.
You're a little bit older.
Nah.
Few more years of experience, but you are a world traveler. You're in Australia right now?
Correct. Melbourne, Australia.
Right now.
Looking live. You're looking
My
live.
old college roommate and one of my great friends to this day is from Melbourne, Australia. His name's Jimmy Anderson. We actually went to high school together too and played basketball. So shout out Jimmy and shout out Melbourne. Awesome place.
Big time. It is. It sure is, man. We've been out here for about 8.5 years. We were supposed to be here for 6 months and we just never left. And man, it's just an awesome city.
I don't blame you, man. All those videos I see and everything that he's out there doing and then the buildings, he's into real estate. He started his own company. So just the real estate out there is awesome. Booming place. So I'm jealous. I'm gonna be there eventually. I don't have to be jealous for too long.
Man, you're gonna have instant legendary status when you get out here.
Yes. That's what I was going for.
And did you pronounce it Melbourne or Melbourne?
Well, you know, it's a tough one because I don't want to sound like a poser and call it Melbourne. But you can't sound like a honky either and call it Melbourne. So you gotta have a little happy medium. I call it, just Melbourne.
Melbourne. Just because if you say Melbourne, they'll like, dude, you're not an Aussie. Like, they can see through that. But
you get clowned. So
well, this is awesome, man. Avi and I met, I think, at a camp in Hawaii.
Yeah. I remember that.
That was a good time. I remember most of it. Some of the best memories I'll never remember.
Yeah, but you remember when we got in trouble?
You can tell the story. You can tell the story.
Can I tell the story? Can I tell?
I have to hear it now. I have to hear it. You can't leave me in the dark.
Yeah, it's like, well, at least I was told that we're going to be staying in this nice house. We'll have a nice bed, and it was true. But what I didn't know was that one night we were supposed to stay with all the players in the gym on a mat on the floor. And I was cool with that. And I know Brant was too. But, I just wanted to have a couple of cocktails just to make sure I could have that night. And all of a sudden, someone told the camp director, the legendary Andy Smith, that we were, quote unquote, drunk, which was not true. But, we had a couple of cocktails just to make sure that the sleep would be okay in that gym. But long story short, we didn't end up sleeping in the gym that night. So I thought it all worked out.
It all worked out. We're here to tell the story. And it was a legendary, epic week in a beautiful mansion, by the way. That place. And,
man, the coaching talent at that camp was just out of this world.
Was Nate Oates at that one?
Nate Oates was there. Henry Barrera. I mean,
big names.
Brad Barbarick.
Brad.
Yeah, okay. Legend.
There you go.
Yeah, Nate Oates is the current head coach at Alabama.
Yeah.
And
he was at Romulus High School back then.
He was a high school
coach.
Yeah.
How about that? How the times change. Now all you have to say is Nate Oates and boom, in the college basketball
That dude's genuine, man. That dude's I worked a 5-star basketball camp for the first time. This was like going back to 2002. I'm a West Coast guy. Everyone's an East Coast guy out there, and I didn't really know anybody. And Nate Oates kind of saw me a little bit lost, and he just came up to me right away and was like made me feel welcomed and all that. Man, he's a genuine, legit, good dude, and man, the success that he's having, there's no mistakes.
No mistakes. Not an accident. It's not an accident.
Not an accident at all. Not even close.
He is legit. Yeah. But so you've been traveling the world for the last 8 years. I know you spent a little bit of time at Pacific, and then
that's right.
Right? You want to tell us a little? Were you there for 1 year?
I was there for 2. So I was coming out of high school in the Seattle area, and I had a couple of schools recruiting me, and Pacific really seemed like they really wanted me, and I had a couple of connections down there. Had a great freshman year, especially at the beginning of the freshman year, and then I just kind of lost the coach's confidence, and he recruited over the top, and then long story short, man, I did not make the team my sophomore year. Whoa. And man, that's a tough one, but you just move on. I ended up finding another school to play at, and then I wasn't a big time walk on at a D1 like you guys. I was more of a D3 walk on. So,
but awesome nonetheless, though.
You went to school in beautiful, sunny Southern California, though. And
the legendary SoCal small college coach Brian Newhall, and he was real nice to me. And I was a team captain, so I had a nice leadership role. But he'd always say, he didn't say don't shoot, but what he said to me was, "Hey, Avi, you be the best ball reverser in the league." So that was it. So I get in the game, make a couple of great backdoor cuts, reverse the basketball, get that team energy going, get that ball energy going, and I think I had a great plus minus. I do want to say that I was one of the top plus minus bench guys, D3 basketball that year.
As most of you know that are watching, and if you don't know, I'm an NCAA national record holder for fewest turnovers in a college career.
You had some of those rare human characteristics though with that jumping ability you have. You still dunking?
Pretty bouncy back in the day. Back in the day when I was about 30 pounds lighter.
Yeah. But I remember you put on a little bit of a dunk show at that camp in Hawaii. 360s, reverses.
I appreciate you saying
videos of that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you remembering that and saying that, because some people think it's all trick photography or, 9.5 foot rims, but
I think you had real life bounce. I mean, you were pretty legit, I have to admit.
And I didn't turn it over in college one time, and it's because I shot every time I touched it. So you can't turn it over.
Not if you're getting rid of that ball.
Don't look at my field goal percentage. Don't look at my field goal percentage. But you can check out my assist to turnover ratio.
Got it done.
This is infinite. If you don't know,
yeah, falling down 8 is what my son calls it.
Falling down 8.
Yeah.
After a couple of drinks.
Yeah, a little drunk 8. Drunk 8. Here's my celebrity guest here. This is Maggie Miner.
Woo woo. Hi, Maggie Miner.
Maggie Miner. You see the people in there? No? Don't care?
No. Hi, Maggie.
There they are.
You're the best.
Yeah. I put that bow in her hair just in case she made an appearance.
So cute.
Great touch.
I mean, I want her to look cute, but my wife lays out the outfits still because sometimes I do I've had one mismatched leopard print. I was kind of going for the leopard print theme, and she's like, "No, you can't do that. That's like a what do they call them? Canadian tuxedo, where you wear a jean jacket with the blue jeans."
I like that.
She said I couldn't do it, and I was like, "But no, I think this is good." So she still lays out the outfits, but then I dress her and I put the bow in there.
I get accused of dressing my kids in too much hoop gear or sports athletic clothing. So
I said there's no such thing as that at the end of the day. It's comfortable, it's stylish, it looks good, you feel good. What's wrong with that?
I got cross-eyed today. Got looked at cross-eyed today when I told my son, if you get warm, I used to wear my basketball shorts underneath my pants. So then when I would go to the gym after school, you just take the pants off, we're ready to hoop.
Dress in layers. You never know when there's an opportunity. You find a basketball, you're walking by the court, drop the jeans, and let's ball.
Southern California, you can always wear shorts. Yeah, Southern California, you can always wear shorts in the tee, but in the Pacific Northwest or Melbourne, Australia, during the wintertime or the late autumn, man, it gets cold, and you got to dress in layers.
Well, tell us a little bit about the differences between what you've seen basketball-wise down under versus West Coast, left coast, best coast in the United States. Tell me a little bit about the differences you've seen between either the players, the style of play, just any differences you've noticed now living in Australia.
Well, the thing that jumped out at me when I first got over here was just the gratitude and the appreciativeness that all the players had. And it wasn't, when you're in a camp situation and a clinic situation, sometimes there's a little bit more of a sense of entitlement, I would say, with the American ball players. In Australia, they were just so grateful just to come in and teach you and kind of impart your knowledge. And it's funny when coaches kind of, say, "Oh, that player has an attitude." So they'll pick up the sides, they'll pick up the teams. And a lot of Australian coaches say, "Oh, that kid has an attitude. I don't want him on my team." And I say, that's just kind of like a normal kind of basketball, mentality that most of the Americans have. They have just a little bit more of that attitude of, just a little bit more of that. I don't know what you want to call it, but I think it's just I think it's just they just don't have that appreciativeness. And so we'll stand in line after camp, and you'll have 30, 40, 50 kids. How many kids at camp? They're all just shaking your hand. Thank you so much for coming to camp. Thank you so much. And I'm like, no, thank you for showing up. You can't take this stuff for granted. And then it's really government controlled here. So you have Basketball Victoria, which runs kind of the state basketball center, the state basketball stuff. And then you have Basketball Australia that governs the national body. And they do an amazing job of developing players over the years. I mean, you look at this Melbourne alone, we've had 2 #1 picks in the NBA draft in the last 15 years, 16 years with Bogut and Ben Simmons, not to mention, players like Dante Exum, who were lottery picks. And so you see just the depth of talent. And where I kind of come into play is where the Basketball Victoria and Basketball Australia kind of takes care of that top echelon. But there's still so many big time players that just don't fall into that domain. And that's where we kind of work in. And they're still really good, high level Division I pros, those types of players. And those are kind of end up being the type of players that we get to work with in my programs. And it's, while the NBL, the top league here, is pretty physical, the junior basketball it's the opposite. So it's like you're basically blowing on a kid and it's a foul. And so it's just not too physical on that lower level. So when we go and take players and take teams over to the States to play in that AAU style, it's a culture shock right away of how physical and how fast it is. And then when the game slows down, we adjust. But then when they come back, the players are fouling out of the games within the first half. So it's kind of a two-edged sword there.
Gratitude.
Yeah.
I love it. That is this thing I've experienced too in my time when I spent in Australia. The people were amazingly friendly, and the players there did have, and I've coached a few Australians. I played with a couple Australians when I was at Portland. One of them is from Melbourne, Adam Quick. And so shout out to the Australians that I've played with, coached. But yeah, there's definitely that sense of just appreciation of being able to play. But I also have noticed that a few of them have kind of been a little soft.
That's right.
Kind of learned that physicality. So what you've experienced down there is kind of what I've experienced with my friends and teammates and players, is the gratitude, but also they've had to learn the physicality of the game for sure.
And I always say to the players, what I love about you guys off the court, kicking it, hanging out, is what I hate about you guys on the court. Just that lack of urgency, that lack of mentality where you just want to go out there and crush your opponent, dominate your opponent. And, it's like, we know you're nice. We know you're friendly. We know we want to hang out with you, go to parties with you and all that. But on the court, we don't necessarily need to be friends. And if you're truly friends with the person that you come to camp with, or you truly friends with your teammate, you can get after him. You can compete. You can have those hold me back situations. And then after camp, be good. At lunchtime, be good. And that's kind of just teaching these players really how to compete, and the urgency that it takes, the passion and the energy that you need to play with every time you step on the court. It's hard when it's just not instilled in you on a daily basis.
Man, one thing that I'll definitely give, at least from my experience of Australian basketball players, I'm going to throw New Zealand in there as well, because I had a teammate from New Zealand who was an incredibly, probably one of the hardest workers on the court I've ever seen. That work ethic is something. And I think it stems from that gratitude of being able to, for example, I went to Lalamere. I played basketball at Lalamere, and I had, a few Australian teammates there, one of which ended up at Xavier as a walk-on.
Yeah.
One of which ended up as Creighton on scholarship. Another one that ended up at Depauw with me as a walk-on. The individual from New Zealand who played at Depauw was, like I said, one of the hardest workers ever. I mean, it's just that work ethic is different. I respect it so much.
And that kid from Depauw, if I believe, is that Cameron?
Yep, Flynn Cameron. Yep.
Yeah, Flynn Cameron. I mean, that's New Zealand royalty right there. The Cameron family, Piero Cameron and his sister, his younger sister Jody, and these are the best people that you'll ever meet. And they just that work ethic, it's legit. That's for sure.
They grind. Totally. He always did. Whether he was playing or not, man, he didn't care. Like, he would still be there in the morning working out the next day after the game sometimes. Didn't matter if he played 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 0 minutes, didn't matter. So had the utmost respect for him and New Zealand and Australian basketball as a whole. Yeah,
totally. And in this part of the world, there's just so many under the radar hidden gems. You just got to come out here to see it. Because when I was kind of growing up, and coaching. You know, we played the AIS in 2005 when I was coaching at Occidental. And, you know, you're talking about Patty Mills and Nathan Jawai and a few other kind of Australian legends. And so all I really knew about was AIS and the Institute. And if you didn't play at the Institute, you really weren't that good. And that was kind of the mentality of a lot of college coaches back in the mid 2000s. And in reality, you know, there's so much depth here in every state. Melbourne, I think, is as good of a basketball city as you're going to find in the world. International city, maybe not quite as good as Toronto, but, you know, other than Toronto, I'd say Melbourne's got to be the second best basketball playing city in the international, especially when it comes into recruiting, you know, potential college athletes.
Wow. What about, so Melbourne is more of a basketball city than Sydney?
Yeah. There's just more of a basketball. There's more gyms. There's more of a basketball culture.
Okay.
Yeah, there's, and Sydney's, I think, a little bit higher population, but Melbourne's pretty much caught up. So they're both about 6 million people. And there are just so many really good basketball coaches out here. And we're kind of talking about the differences between American and Australia. The Australians they play an amazing team game. These coaches can run offenses, flow offense, motion, whatever you want to, any of these high-tech offenses. And so these players can run it perfectly. But then sometimes when you kind of get them into a spot where they need to improvise, they need to read and react, that's kind of when they have some issues and some troubles. And so it's kind of finding that happy medium between having super controlling basketball and in that representative level basketball, which is kind of like your highest level of club basketball here in Melbourne. And then the AAU American basketball, where there's just that limited structure. If you can kind of find that happy medium, and that's kind of where if you're a college coach, you know, you recruit a handful of those Australian players on your roster, combined with the Americans, and that's where you can really find a nice mesh of, you know, having that freedom to play, and then also having those really good, like, I can just run an offense, and I know where to space, I know how to cut, I know how to, you know, play the team game. And so that's what we try to do at our camps, is have that happy medium of kind of putting a little bit of a structure in. So it's just not straight rat ball out there, but there is, you know, we want them to play free. We want them to make plays. We want them to, you know, make the right reads rather than, you know, having more of a process oriented mentality rather than just straight results.
Quality. I think that's great. Let's jump into some quotes. Let's try to, if you're watching, let's get some inspiration to you. If you're watching this live, thank you. If you're watching this on replay, thank you. If you're not watching this, you're not going to see this. So I guess I don't even need to thank you or hate on you or anything. But if you are watching this, you are appreciated. So let's go with the X factor. What are you bringing? What type of heat are you bringing tonight?
Well, I got a question for our viewers today, and it's a quote. Okay. It's a question quote. It's a simple question, but it's not that simple. And it's, who do you want to be in this world, right? And it's a question that I think for myself, I know the answer to at this point, but it's a question that I ask myself a lot. And I still ask myself. Like I said, I think I have the answer now. But it's a question that I ask myself a lot throughout my life. You know, what avenue do I want to go professionally? What avenue do I want to go athletically? What avenue do I want to go as an individual? What kind of person do I want to be? Do I want to be a personable person? Do I want to be an a-hole? What do I want to be, right? What do I want to do? And I feel like that's a question that people struggle with, I would say. And I feel like I know a lot of people, especially in the college level, this is particularly to college people, but it goes for everybody, right? And people lose themselves. And people start going down an avenue that they don't necessarily want to go down. And to anybody who's trying to find themselves, to anybody who's questioning themselves or anything, I ask you this question: who do you want to be in this world? And only you know the answer to that, right? Avi, you only know the answer for yourself. Brant, you only know the answer for yourself. I only know the answer for myself. Zoe in the waiting room only knows the answer for herself. But at the end of the day, you know, if you can ask yourself that question and you have a good, solid answer yourself with a plan as well, I would argue that you're in pretty good shape in life, right? So I would say ask yourself that question and try to put yourself in the best position that you could possibly be in.
I love that. I think, who do you want to be and how do you get there? From where you're at now to where you want to be. That's something I always talk with kids that I'm coaching or mentoring about is, okay, where do you want to be? Where are you now? and how do we get you from where you are now to where you want to be? So I think that's a great question to ask, is what type of person do you want to be and where do you want to be? And then you got to reverse engineer it back to, okay, well, this is where I'm at now. Now, how do I get to there? And how do I do it efficiently and effectively and in the best way possible? But I think that's a great quote / question that you just put out there to our audience, is what type of person and what do you want to be? What do you want to do? So bringing the heat. I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. Avi, let's toss it over to you, man. What do you got? What's on your mind?
Well, it's the adversity, and it's just always constantly hitting those roadblocks and hitting those stumbling points, getting cut at Pacific, or not getting the job that you want to get, or whatever it is. And it's just kind of dealing. And I always say that we took kind of more towards the toughness part about the Australians that you were talking about. It's like, you don't truly know what it's like to be a college basketball player until you're already there, until you're there doing it. And it's so hard. And I think that a lot of the players kind of see the Instagram, and they see kind of the end result of playing on TV and playing in the tournament and doing all those things that is a result of all the adversity that you face throughout your college basketball career, throughout life. But we're talking college hoops right now, through your college hoops. So it's all my quote has to do with adversity. It's an Arthur Gordon, the author Arthur Gordon quote, and that is, adversity is like a strong wind. It tears away from us all but things that cannot be torn, so that we see ourselves as we really are. And that kind of goes along the lines of the famous John Wooden quote, is adversity doesn't build character, it reveals it. And when you're at your lowest moment, that's when you have to be at your best.
Love that. That's gold right there. Will you give us that quote one more time, just in case people are watching and didn't catch it the first time?
Adversity is like a strong wind. It tears away from us all but the things that cannot be torn, so that we see ourselves as we really are.
Man, I love that. That is...
Yeah, we at our camps, probably twice a year at my big camp that I do in what it's part of Melbourne, they call the Mornington Peninsula, not Peninsula, Peninsula. And we always talk about adversity and leadership, and we have a few quotes that we kind of discuss, and the kids kind of share some of their recent and different experiences that they've had, whether it's breaking a bone or getting cut and stuff like that. So it's definitely more than basketball. Basketball is just a vehicle for the people and for the inspiration and for the mentoring.
Love that. And that's so true. I mean, basketball is an avenue. That ball is life. I mean, ball is a part of my life, but it's not all of my life. And so when people say, oh, ball is life, it's like, I'd rather be a good husband and a good father than a good basketball anything, to be honest. I mean, like I said, I love basketball. It's the game. It's the greatest game. It's the greatest game in the world, but it's a game. Absolutely. And because it can be taken away, whether that's by being cut, like I was my junior year, or by an injury, or by a global pandemic,
or by or by suspension. One of the players that I've worked with for a few years now, real talented. He just turned 14 years old. He made a big mistake in a basketball game where there's a player going up for a layup, and he kind of took him out. It was dirty. He also kind of gave a kid a little bit of a forearm, and this video went viral. And so the basketball governing body here in Victoria, Basketball Victoria, suspended this kid for 1.5 years.
Whoa!
And so he can't play in anything that is under the Basketball Australia guise for 72 weeks. And it's just, look, the kid made a mistake, and he'll be the first one to admit that. But to take away basketball for 1.5 years after the last year of the pandemic, I mean, it's just, to me, it's just crazy that there's not one person in the Basketball Victoria or the basketball governing body that says, look, this is just not right. We want to be super harsh on the kid. We can suspend him for the rest of the year. In my opinion, it should be a month, maybe a 2-month deal. But to suspend a kid for 1.5 years, it's just ridiculous.
I worry about that kid's mental health.
Absolutely.
Like, just not being able to play basketball and knowing why, it's gonna.
And this dude's a baller too. This kid is a baller. I mean, he loves it. One of the hardest.
Crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
That's crazy. There's no other way to put that. I mean, that's a long time. Like you said, he messed up. All right, he gets it. Yeah. But
there's a chance for
a year and a half.
Absolutely, yeah, it's crazy.
I want to make an example, I guess.
Yeah, and you can make an example of him by suspend him for the rest of the year, maybe.
Yeah, a year and a half. Sheesh,
it's unbelievable. Yeah,
man.
So I feel bad for that kid, but he's he's allowed to come to camps, and they have this new AAU Australia thing here, so he's able to kind of participate in those events, but nothing under not the any school related basketball or for the rep programs, the club programs. He's just not able to do it.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Man, that's tough. I feel for that kid because when you're 13, you make mistakes, but
absolutely,
man, that's tough. You good?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna head upstairs. My wife's got home, so she's tapping in on the Maggie duty, and I'm gonna head upstairs. So I'm gonna give you guys a discussion topic. Rhode Island. It's not a road nor an island. Discuss. I'll be back.
The first thing that comes to my mind with Rhode Island is Tyson Wheeler and Lamar Odom, but I don't know.
and you know, I think about Family Guy. I think about the TV show Family Guy when I think of Rhode Island.
Exactly.
That's definitely a great discussion point, though. It's not a road and it's not an island. So I suppose where Brant is going with this is where did that name come from? And I don't know. I don't know if you have a backstory behind this, but I'm not entirely sure.
It is a tiny little state.
Man, I haven't spent too much time on the East Coast, honestly, which is kind of sad because I'm a foodie and I like lobster, and I hear they have the best lobsters. By the way, Australians. Let me cut myself off here. Australian seafood is amazing. That fish is crazy.
I wanted to give you a stat about Melbourne. I don't know if you knew it or not, but we have more Greek people living in Melbourne there's more Greek people in Melbourne than any other city in the world outside of Athens.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm kind of disappointed I didn't know that.
10 minutes from my house is like little Athens. It's like Greek town, man. It is unbelievable. It's like a walking mall. So they cut off the street and they just put the restaurant, they just put the tables out there, tabletops, just like the home cooking that you grew up with. And
oh man,
everyone's out there having on a nice 25, 30 degree day here. It is popping. It just goes off. So,
man, I was blessed with my grandma living with us up until the day she died. She lived with us for probably, I'm only 22 years old, but she was living with my dad for 40 plus years.
Yeah.
And she, traditional Greek, right? Didn't speak any English. Learned a little bit while she was here, but she couldn't hold a conversation. So it was all Greek. And she would be downstairs. All she wanted to do, it's like, hey, grandma, do you want to go do this? Do you want to go do that? No. All she wanted to do was garden, take care of us, and cook. And she would be down there cooking the most immaculate Greek dishes all the time.
Sure.
Which contributed to me being much larger when I was young, especially before I picked up basketball. But man, that food was so good. It was so good.
Man.
I was blessed. But those portions, she give me portions like
they're huge.
Boom,
huge.
Weighing the table down with the portions. And I tried my best to eat it.
You get the family platter for two. It feeds six.
Exactly. That's what I love about it, though, because Greek restaurants, I mean, especially in Indiana, where I'm from, I just went out to eat not too long ago in Indiana with like 6 people, right? I was doing my taxes after we went out to eat with like 6 people. And the bill was like, it was like very good portions with a super salad, an entree, and then dessert. It was like an ice cream dessert or a Jell-O dessert. And the bill for 6 people was like $74 before tip. I was like, try to do that in Chicago. No way.
No chance. No chance.
Can't eat like that with 2 people in Chicago.
Yeah, no, Melbourne's expensive, but when you're at the restaurants, you don't tip and the tax is included.
Oh, that's true, actually. Yeah.
But you just get these, you're filled up so here it's like, like you said, like $60 for a big old thing, and it feeds 6 or 7 people, and that's cheap out here in Melbourne. I'll tell you that right now. But big time city. The coffee snobs here. Big time.
Northwest has some coffee snobs. Seattle.
Oh yeah.
Coffee.
Oh yeah. No, I know. I'm from Seattle. That's why we invented coffee in Seattle and
Starbucks. Right.
Starbucks.
Well, I'm gonna get to my quote. So I have this book here that I love.
That's a winner right there. That's a winner.
Time.
So the quote that I have goes along with this other quote with Mamba mentality. Kobe's talking about the Mamba mentality, and he says, the mindset isn't about seeking a result. It's more about the process of getting to that result. It's about the journey and the approach. It's a way of life. I do think that it's important in all endeavors to have that mentality. So it's about being the best version of yourself every day when you show up. And I love that he talks about it's not seeking the result. It's about the process of getting that result. It's about the journey and the approach. So the quote that I had, I posted on my Twitter today, you don't eat the fruit the day you plant the seed. The day you plant the seed, and I might have said something like this before, but I just think that that preparation and planning ahead, you know, if you're hungry and you want something to eat, you need fruit, you don't say, oh gosh, I got to plant a tree. I got to get an apple tree to get that apple. You got to plan ahead. You got to prepare. It's about the process. And so I think that the journey and the approach is key. And this is a great book, by the way. If you guys don't have it, read it. This is a collector's edition, sports memoir. Kobe, R.I.P., R.I.H., or just that was a memorable day for me when he passed. I was coaching a game and my wife showed up, surprised me at the game with my daughter, and just lost it on the sideline, and just a very emotional day. But Kobe, one of the all-time greats, and that mentality of being the best version of yourself every day when you show up. And I think that comes into you never know who's watching, right?
There you go. Yeah.
You never know. And that's why I try to bring my best to every one of these episodes, because this is going to live on the internet. As long as the internet's around and YouTube sticks around and the Facebook is here, this video will live online. And I never know. You never know who's going to watch this and be like, man, that guy could be my end of the bench player for the Nets. Probably not that. That's probably a bad example. But somebody could offer me a job or be like, I like that kid's passion. I like that guy's energy, right? You never know. So being at your best when your best is required, your best is required every day. Every day. Every day.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much just gold in that, you know, and I know, and that kind of different coaches and different people have a different way of saying that. Coach K would talk about showing the face that your team needs and being able to play at a moment's notice. And I think that's a direct correlation to, you know, when you're working out, when you're going through your 1-on-0 stuff, you're playing against a chair, you're playing against, you have your own little trainer or whatever. If you're not making every single cut, every single dribble, every single rep count, then when you really need it the most, you're not going to have it. If you're not finishing a simple line drill and you're skipping the line, that's a direct correlation to making a great crossover move, getting all the way to the basket and not finishing your shot. Being just that consistency. And as a coach, man, it's really kind of hard sometimes, especially this. I'm going to tell the players this, that we're working. This term is the hardest term that we have here in Melbourne. The days are getting shorter. The weather's getting darker and darker. The weather's getting colder and colder. And so when come mid to late June, when it's dark and cold and gloomy, and maybe you're not getting as much playing time as you'd like, or maybe you don't have the role in your team that you like, or maybe your team's losing, can you still have that passion? Can you still bring that energy? Can you still have that consistency and that goal, that quote that you just brought in from Kobe? Can you still be addicted and passionate about that journey, about the daily grind when you're hitting that adversity? I mean, it's not easy when you're in it.
Gold. I think that they talk about the dog days of January here when you're in the season. That shows what type of teammate you are. Do you show up with that same passion, that same energy, that same competitiveness? And great teams, they do have lulls, but they figure out and they have players and coaches that can get them going back in the right direction. And I think that's a key, is just overcoming adversity, because you're going to have adversity, right? Nobody's ever played this game and gone undefeated. I don't think. there has been a player that has gone his entire college career without having a turnover. Throwback to the earlier conversation about how B minor didn't have a turnover. But you're going to have adversity. It's going to hit you. How do you respond? Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Mike Tyson said that, right? Everybody's got this great plan of how everything in their life's going to work out. And kind of what X was saying is you got to have this vision of what you want to be. But then it's not going to be a straight line. Success is not a straight line. Bitcoin is going to a whole lot of money, but it's not going in a straight line.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's something sometimes people think, oh gosh, you know, when the tough gets going, the tough doesn't quit, you know? And like I've told this story, but a kid wrote on his shoes, trust the process. And he quit before Christmas break last year.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like that's comical, right? Like think about a shirt that said, trust the process. Until it doesn't get you exactly what you want, then quit.
Then just quit.
Give up.
Just do it.
Give up.
It's easier.
Right? Give up. It's easier to quit.
And Coach Bennett would always talk about knocking on that door. You just want to keep on knocking. Keep on knocking.
Somebody's going to answer eventually.
That's right.
Bill Gates, Donald Trump, let me in now. I got money to lend my friends now. I think that was a song, maybe.
It might have been.
If not, it should be.
It should be. It should be a song. If not, Pont, you're the song guy. Pont's got his own video. Or what's the latest on that music video?
I'm actually shooting that music. I just got the call sheet actually in the email about 20 minutes ago. We're recording it on Saturday. So
let's go.
Yep.
That's big time.
Got a song out. It's got, I don't even know what the views are now, but it's got to be a lot.
It's got a lot. That's awesome.
It's a little country, urban. What's that genre called, Pont?
Yeah.
I mean,
don't put it in a box. Don't make them put it in a box.
We call it country rap. It's similar to, well, never mind. I'm not even going to say.
Don't mention any other.
It's the first of its kind. Mississippi Do is the first song of its kind.
Mississippi Do, if you have the ability, Google it, YouTube it, find it because it's worth it. It's actually pretty good. I mean, I'm not just saying that because he's my partner in this
checking it out.
It's pretty good.
It's not bad. I do appreciate the praise for it, Brant.
Well, what part of Indiana did you grow up?
So I grew up in Michigan City, Indiana, which is northwest Indiana, about an hour 20 away from Chicago.
And was high school basketball the biggest thing in your town and in your part?
You know how huge high school basketball is. You know, I mean, usually in Indiana, you think of high school basketball, the southern cities in Indiana, but no, we are crazy. My high school was the number one in my senior year, at least. We won the national championship. We were the number one team in the whole country.
Oh, so that's at La Lumiere.
Yep, that was a La Lumiere.
Yeah,
and I mean, you know how, as you just alluded to, you know exactly how Indiana high school college hoops is. I mean, everybody's just going crazy. We're selling out all these games, and it's high school, you know? So
it's amazing. Yeah.
I couldn't imagine having played in any other state because just the level of support more than anything, you know, because you're in high school, you're young, and I mean, I'm always pretty strong-minded, so I don't need too much, you know. If I see with my blinders where I'm trying to go, I don't need too much encouragement here or there. But you know, a lot of people, especially the high school level, you're young, you know, you need that support to be able to get through waking up at 4:30 every morning to work out, you know, for the number one team in the country. So all that support helps so much, and that's what I think makes Indiana high school basketball so great. You know, from city to city. It's everywhere. You can't even avoid it if you wanted to. So
yeah, it's just different.
Yeah, I think like 9 of the 10 biggest high school gyms are in Indiana.
Yep. Yeah, the biggest high school basketball gyms. I'm so proud of
that. They shot blue chips there at one of those. Was it at? I can't remember which one it was, but
blue chip.
Maybe it was Lebanon.
O'Neal. Pont's probably never even seen blue chips.
Yeah, I have not. I'm not going to tell a lie, guys. Never saw it.
Oh, man.
Blue Chips with Shaquille O'Neal, Penny Hardaway.
Matt Nover.
Sounds like a good movie. It sounds like a star cast.
This coach is job's on the line. He's on the hot seat. If he doesn't start winning, they're going to fire him. And so he's never.
Did you see the movie? Have you seen the movie The Program?
Never even heard of it.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Let's put the women and children to bed and go looking for dinner.
That sounds like a good idea, but I never seen that movie.
Oh, and let the paramedics sort them out.
That doesn't sound like as good of an idea, but I never seen the movie. No,
it's a football movie. It's kind of like that.
Blue Chips and the program kind of came out around the same time, and roughly, and they're legit. You'd enjoy an hour and 40 minutes of your life to watch.
Those are ones that I do. I did pull up a clip of Latimer when he's on steroids and he's just ripped, but he's on steroids. He like smashes his head through a window. Yeah.
Oh my!
And we have a kid on our team. I don't think he's on steroids,
but
he's got some of the simp. Like he's got a little aggressive rage to him, and he's pretty strong built. So not saying anything, but that Latimer clip kind of I pulled that up the other day because I was like, there's some like similarities here, but the Program and Blue Chip, two great sports movies.
Totally.
I think Coach Carter.
Coach Carter. What's your favorite sports movie, X? Is that it?
Coach Carter. Has to be Coach Carter.
Yeah.
Has to be. Love I've seen Hoosiers. Mm-hmm. I have to. Being from Indiana, I had to see that.
Yeah, you had to.
If I said no, they have to take my license and turn it to Illinois or something because I couldn't.
You have to give up your citizenship of Indiana for sure.
You have to renounce your rights to the citizenship.
Yeah, Coach Carter's my favorite, and my favorite movie altogether is Wolf of Wall Street. Has to be Wolf of Wall Street, or it's Wolf of Wall Street because I like finance. But before I got into that, it was definitely The Hangover because I never laughed harder the first time I seen a movie than when I seen The Hangover. That is the funniest movie I ever seen. I would argue it's the funniest movie that ever came out.
But you also have never seen, what's the one that we talk about? Wedding Crashers?
Oh, I see Wedding Crashers. I see Wedding Crashers.
Old School.
Never seen Old School.
Never seen Old School. Yeah. That's hilarious.
Funnier than The Hangover?
I like Wedding Crashers, then The Hangover, but Step Brothers?
No, that's funny. Step Brothers is funny. Yeah, if I ever see it, if I'm scrolling through TV and the TV guide and I see Step Brothers, that's one of the movies I always watch. It doesn't matter how many times I've seen it.
I'm also a big The Other Guys. I'm also a big The Other Guys fan.
The Other Guys is funny. I see that. That's funny too.
Shawshank Redemption, as far as just a good quality movie,
I think it's got to be the GOAT.
That's my favorite movie.
I kind of agree. I mean, there's not a movie I love better than Shawshank. I'll tell you that.
I would agree with that. That's my favorite movie of all time. It's just a great story of just like friends and just dreaming. And I hope the ocean is as blue as it is in my dreams. It's about this prison and this guy. I don't want to ruin it, but you got to watch. Yeah. There's like, we're going to make a list of X Factor must-sees. I know he's a good guy. He's doing all this stuff. He's getting ready to graduate college. He's got a job lined up with Northwestern Mutual. He's going to be slanging insurance and financial services and doing big things. But you got to have some time. Kick it with Zoe. Watch some of these flicks, man. But
I'm going to have to.
Shawshank's got to be number one on your list.
Number one in the program. The program, Darnell Jefferson, when he goes, I'll be number 20, but we're indubitably going to be number one. I'll be number 20 in the program, but number one in your hearts.
That's nice. I respect that.
And then people are like, dude, you don't even know what that word means because he's like reading the dictionary trying to pick up new words. And so he's learned indubitably. Indubitably. That's a great word, though.
Fun to say, yeah. Indubitably. I like it.
Indubitably.
Brant, what's the biggest thing you miss from being in Australia?
Not Vegemite. Not Vegemite.
Oh my goodness, that Vegemite. People used to have that in the dorms at Lalu like crazy. Eat it. It was gross.
Yeah, it's not the best.
Here's how you eat your Vegemite. You take a thin layer and put it on toast, and you throw that toast away.
No, the Vegemite was scary.
You gotta have a little bit of butter on there too if you're gonna have Vegemite. A lot of butter, I guess.
I tried this a little bit straight up, and that was probably the biggest mistake. One of the biggest mistakes I made.
It's like we make soup out of. It's like basically just eating a bunch of salt.
I think what happened to Brant, by the way?
Oh no, He's got that. I don't know what happened to him.
It looks like on Zoom when you can put like a picture of yourself when you take the video off, and it's just like a straight picture. That looks like what it is. Brant, I don't know if you can hear us, but
it's not a bad freeze frame on him. Like it could be.
It's really not. He looks good. Yeah. Maybe a new Instagram profile picture. Oh
yeah.
Now never mind altogether. But no,
who's your coach at Depauw?
So my coach at Depauw was Dave Lato. And he used to coach at Virginia, was an assistant coach at UConn. Yeah, he was awesome. And then so we Depauw actually just parted ways with him, and we just hired Coach Stubblefield, who was an assistant coach at Oregon for quite some time, and he's been coached for like 28 years. So people are really excited about him. I got to meet him as well as it was a little basketball alumni Zoom, and I got to meet him. Cool. He seemed great. So hopefully, awesome. he can turn the program around. Last year we won 5 games. So.
You don't really. I mean, when was the last time Depauw was really? I mean, Rod Strickland and was Joey Meyer the coach back? I remember them coming out to play University of Washington. I remember watching Rod Strickland play. So I was young, real young.
Yeah, when people think about like the glory days with Depauw, they think about Rod Strickland and Mark Aguirre and Ray Meyer and Joey Meyer and all them. And then we went through a stretch. I think the last time we went to the tournament was the early 2000s. We had Wilson Chandler on our team, and then that was the last time, and then we've been going through a bit of a slump, you could say, until at least my last 4 years. But I will say, and there's one thing that I'm very proud of that I can brag about, is that my sophomore year we went to the postseason. We didn't go to the NCAA tournament, but we went to the CBI, which was the first postseason tournament for Depauw. I couldn't even. Since the early 2000s. So that was awesome. That was awesome. Went to the championship of that.
That's cool. That's really cool. Because you really don't have to leave the city to. It's almost like being at school in Los Angeles. You don't have to leave the city to have a competitive roster.
Yeah. No, honestly, that's right. And one thing that everybody's been talking about that the fans have really been like urging for us is that there's so much talent in Chicago, particularly from the South Side and the West Side. There's so much talent, and all this talent is going elsewhere. They're committing to different schools all over the place. And people are like, why? Why can't we make Depauw a powerhouse? Why can't we make Depauw, Kentucky, with Chicago kids? And now we're starting to get more and more, especially like, during my time there, we got a lot of new Chicago talent that was coming to Depauw. And it was so cool. And it's so cool to see us building in the right direction.
Yeah, totally. And then it's the Big East, right? So you got a legit conference. You get to recruit to that. You got the city and everything.
Yeah, that's a big selling point. That's why, why a lot of people are like, I can't believe we can't keep Chicago kids. You have arguably one of the best cities in the world in Chicago. You have the Big East, arguably one of the best conferences in college basketball. There's so many selling points. So, the only way I can see us going is up.
Yeah. So you're a big foodie?
Oh, that's an understatement. And if you saw me eat food, you would be sick. You'd be sick.
A lot.
A lot. We went to the PK 80 tournament my freshman year, the Phil Knight tournament for his 80th birthday, and I went. My current roommate and teammate, and also my best friend, we just met. We met at Depauw, and we went to. That was probably 3 months into knowing each other. We went to a Fogo de Chao in Portland because we were roommates in the hotel too, and we still talk about this to this day. I ate from I think the place closed at 9. I ate from about 7:30, I would say, until about 9:30, 10 o'clock. The place was closed. They stopped bringing us food. It's all you can eat Brazilian steakhouse. So they stopped bringing us food, and I'm eating all this lamb. He's been done eating for like an hour. I'm eating the leftover food off his plate as he's going to the bathroom. He's like, "What are you doing, man? Like, just get some more food." They stopped bringing us food. I asked the waiter, "Do you have more of that lamb?" They're like, "Well, I assumed you were done because you've been eating for like 2-3 hours over here." I was like, we paid the fee of admission. I'm gonna get my money's worth. So
that's right. Totally.
I didn't eat after that meal. I got home, I don't know, around 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I couldn't eat. We had a game the next night. I literally didn't eat until after that game because I was stuffed. My stomach felt like a rock.
You were ready to go in the game the next night?
I was still lively. That's just me. I don't know any other way, but trust me, I was feeling interesting.
No,
is one way to put it. What about you? What's your favorite dish?
I'm a big Chinese food fan, so like Hong Kong style seafood restaurants. And man, being in Melbourne here, there's about 20 minutes. So we got 10 minutes this way is little Athens, and then we have basically Chinatown up about 15 minutes the other direction.
Nice.
And it's just unbelievable food, just so diverse. Like there's a lot of fusion, Asian fusion. So you can't really put your finger on what part of Asia it comes from, but it's just a lot of good eats around here. It's gotta be disciplined, because man, I'm a little bit older. I'm putting on those. Gotta get the cardio in every day and just try to limit them carbs a little bit so I can stay sleek.
How old are you? You still? I mean, you look pretty young. How old are you?
No, I'm 40. I'll be 42 in a month.
Oh, you're still young. Okay, you look even younger than that, but you're still young.
I'm blushing.
Do you still play basketball?
I try to stay. I try to have that look where I'm in better shape than the players. And I just feel like if I would never ask the players to do something that I haven't done already myself.
That honestly though, and I talk to my dad about this all the time because my dad's a business owner, and he's always telling me, because he came from Greece when he was really young, and they didn't have they don't come from anything really, and then he's been able to come start his business, start real estate and everything, and that's the number one thing that he always says, like, how am I going to ask my employees to do anything that I'm not doing, and I should be doing better than them realistically, so I can set an example. But I think that that's one thing that a lot of people, from coaches to business owners to anything, that's where they fail. Like, if you tell me to do something and you're doing it, I'm going to respect you. I'm going to say, okay, you can tell me to do that, right? Because you're doing it. If you tell me to do something that you're not doing, or you've never done, or you're half-assing, like, what? I'm not doing that. Yeah. You're not doing it. How can you tell me to do that?
It's that leading by example. And I love that last dance. And we watch a little bit of that clip where it just, and Jordan just said, I would, and he got, real emotional about it. And this was, I think it was at the end of episode 7 or 8 when he got emotional, had to, say a break or whatever. And he just said, I would never ask one of my teammates to do something that I hadn't already done. I think he had a couple of expletives in there too. And it was just like so powerful. It was just so powerful.
I love it. And you know what? What really broke my heart about that is that before it came out, and Jordan was talking about, I'm scared about the way that people are going to perceive me after this and all these things. And like what I saw from that, I like Michael Jordan even more, right? Yeah. Because the guy that's what you have to do in the basketball world. Like if you're not pushing the people like that, in your guys, like they're not gonna, if your leader isn't doing that, you're not going to be pushed to your full potential. So people can say he was a whatever they want to call him, but like the guy is a leader, and that's why he won 6 rings with that team.
And is he back?
Boom. Yes, he's back. Back again. Tell a friend. My computer was at like 29%, and then it just goes boom.
That's okay.
But I'm back. I heard you guys. This is a little bit of the conversation. And so, yeah, I didn't want to interrupt. You're talking about The Last Dance. Continue on.
Well, we're talking food, we're talking hoops, we're talking leadership, and just talking more about, hey, we were talking about, you can't, as a leader, you can't ask your constituents to do something that you haven't already done yourself. Impossible at any level. Impossible at any level. CEOs to coaches to captains to all that stuff. And if it's every team that I've ever been on. The best teams I've ever been on, it's just great internal leadership. The energy comes from the players. The energy doesn't always come from the coaches. The coaches are there when you need them, but the energy comes from challenging your teammates and just getting after it.
Jordan was probably the best at that. Like, and so true. He didn't ask those guys to do anything. He was always winning. He won every sprint. And if your best player is also your hardest worker, you're in a good position.
You ask Schumann about who the greatest line runner he ever coached was. I got to be in those Mount Rushmore.
Gotta be. Hey, I always say I wasn't the fastest guy on the team, but I never lost a sprint. I had to work really hard to be the worst player on the team.
That's right.
Yes.
Just because you work hard doesn't mean you're going to be the best player. Sometimes people think, oh, you work hard, you're going to be the best player. And it's like, nope, that's not the case all the time.
No, not at all. For sure.
Well, I'm sure we could chop it up all day, but it's
man,
getting started over there.
Yeah, my day's just getting started here. It's still it's 11 a.m. now. Yeah.
11 a.m., 8 p.m. where you're at, Pont?
Yep. Just coming up on 8 p.m. How about that for time difference?
And it's already Friday.
So we do make it to Friday.
He's living in the future.
Avi's
living in the future.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Avi, I really appreciate you taking some time.
Thank you guys.
Up, man.
No, it's an honor to be on your pod, man. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, you're the best, man. We really do appreciate it. And it was great to meet you too and chop it up with you. You're like a great guy.
Yeah, I appreciate that. No, you too. And I mean, Brant's B minor, Max Hoops. I mean, his social media game is at a super high level.
1,000%.
I'm working on my TikTok game. I'm not as TikTok savvy as the X Factor, but I've got a few now. But it's just hard for me to do because I'm just not as talented at it as some people. Putting the clips together and the pictures popping up on there.
But your Instagram, Max Hoops, is the best. It's the best basketball follow I have. So
wow,
you keep it up. You keep it up.
It's powerful. I would agree, though, honestly. And I follow a lot of basketball pages, as you could probably imagine.
Well, you guys. I know we're all just blowing smoke around here, making everybody blush. I heard you saying how young Avi looks. Avi does look young, though.
I'm serious.
He's delighted.
I was gonna guess like my age, and I'm 37.
Yeah.
So you got about 4 years on me, but you look good, and you're getting that cardio in. I'm trying to get more cardio in, but man.
If I don't do it in the AM, it's not getting done. It's got to be drop off the kids, right to cardio. I just skipped cardio today to be with you guys, but I'll get it done right now.
Hopefully you got some belly laughs and a little bit ab work with the laughter and good times and cheek smiles, but it was awesome, man. Really appreciate you. Stay in touch. Next time you're in Portland, let's get together again.
Man, I'll never. Hey, when you pick something up in the airport, man, you are a great friend, and that's just who you are.
If you needed a friend to help you move, Avi, I'd be that guy too. That's the type of guy I am.
I know you are. And that's
but when you get to be our age, it's better just to hire a mover than to try to give your friends pizza and a beer to help move your stuff.
Definitely.
At a certain age, it's like, dude, like I know you want me to help you move, but I'd rather just chip in to get the movers to do it, and let's just have some beer and pizza.
Totally, I agree.
Awesome. Any parting shots? Anything you want to wrap this up with?
Just a big thank you. A big thank you as always. Thank you, Avi. Thank you to the viewers. Thanks, B Minor, for, hey, man, we started this thing and we're keeping it going strong, and it's always fun. So, yeah, just gratitude. And thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Gratitude, attitude of gratitude. Avi, any parting shots from down under?
You make it to Friday. You just gotta get through the last few hours.
Thursday Junior or Friday Junior is Thursday, and we're here on Thursday, but I hear we make it to Friday. So at least on one part of the world. And we always end our shows, Avi, the same way. We say that if you're going to walk on. Let's go. Walk on. If you're going to walk on.
That's right. I like it.
Walk on. All right. I'm going to end the broadcast. So if you're watching on Facebook, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
That's gratitude.
Thank you.
Attitude of gratitude. And did you notice, Avi, is yours like backwards, like reverse negative? Like,
totally.
It's a little trippy because it's like this hand's up. Whoa.
You got to be able to play with both hands around the basket. Got to finish with both.
Got to be able to use both.
That's
right hand, left hand. Dab on them. Yeah. Now what's that move called when they do that one?
That's hit them folks. That's hit them folks.
Okay.
That's after a dunk, or is that after a three?
I can dab it. I mean, I know this is a dab.
That is a dab. Yep, that's a dab. That's important. There's just so many. This could be a whole nother podcast. All the different dance moves.
And you got them all, man. If you're watching this, well, everybody's probably watching this far an hour into the show has seen your dance moves, but boy, you got them, man.
I appreciate it. I'm at least willing. I don't know if I'm the most skilled, but I can damn sure tell you I'm willing.
Your confidence level and enthusiasm for your dance moves are second to none.
That I will agree with. 10 days out of
I'm just looking at Mississippi Dew here.
Oh, Mississippi Dew.
Man, I'm telling you, man, put in some nice headphones, you know, get yourself a nice cup of coffee, whatever you need to do to relax, and just listen. Give it a nice 3-minute listen. And I'm telling you, I hope it changes your life. I hope it does. Hope it gets added to the playlist.
Looks awesome.
I hope it changes your life too, X, as your first song, and then maybe that's your career in this financial planning and insurance stuff. It will just be like secondary. I'm a
financial advisor and hit country rap artist at the same time. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Enthusiastic fan / co-podcast host / big hair
Renaissance man.
He is everything. One of the everything guys. That's the goal.
A man of and for the people. Let's go. If you're gonna walk
on.
Walk on.
Walk on. Ending the